Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. Today is July 11th, 2017, and I wanted to give some thoughts on the overall cryptocurrency market, as well as look at a few charts for the main coins and just kind of see what's going on. When I first got into Bitcoin, it was during this big spike back on May 25th of 2017. When it spiked up to $2,700, it sort of first came on my radar, and I think at the time there was some big buying in from some of the Korean markets. At least that's what one of the headlines said. And so I had traded it a little bit in a stock called GBTC in the stock market, a Bitcoin fund before that, and made a little bit on it, but I wasn't really thinking of holding long term. But when it hit this large spike, that's when I really started paying attention to this, and I was like, oh man, Bitcoin is really starting to surge here. So I waited for a pullback, and I believe, somewhere in here I ended up making my first purchase, but I was expecting this pattern to really continue and sort of work its way back up and constantly be setting new highs. And as we can see in this chart, it has really sort of stagnated from that. And in the last few days, it has sunk into the cloud here, and which is really kind of a bearish outlook. So where do we go from here? Well, the last time we touched the cloud, we actually crashed through it and got a close below the cloud. And it didn't continue down very much. In fact, it sort of turned around and shot back out of the cloud and then started this giant run. So I imagine that a lot of this has been tied to the whole issues with August 1st and the soft fork and all that. So could we drift lower while all this is getting worked out? Sure, we could even get another close below the cloud, but I don't expect that to be a major bearish move. Let's see on the chart here, where's August 1st? So this sort of indicates August 1st. So if we could tread water until August 1st, then I think we'll be able to, shoot up again out of this cloud and make another run like this. So that's what I'm predicting. I am holding off on buying right now, though. I would like to see this, of course, get as cheap as possible before August 1st, because that's just going to give me a better, entry price and be able to get more Bitcoin for my money. So I'm actually hoping for it to drop in this short intermediate kind of part. But I imagine that when it hits the bottom of the cloud here, that's going to be sort of the major running support. So wherever it does, I think that's the thing to look for, and possibly make a purchase there. But if we do get, maybe a strategy is to buy in maybe half of what you're planning to spend at the bottom of the cloud, and then see what happens. If we get a few days closed before August 1st, then you can make another purchase in here, and then what I'm thinking is it's going to turn around and shoot up after that, and definitely break this kind of 3,000 barrier. So that's what I'm personally seeing in Bitcoin. But I do have to admit, when I first got into this, I didn't expect this to stagnate and hit the cloud again. I mean, I thought we'd be continuing this pattern on, to kind of maybe have a little pullback here and then another push to like 3,400 or so. So this has definitely been a little bit of a surprise to me, but it's actually a buying opportunity as well. I also wanted to look at Dash because I have some Dash mining contracts, and I'm always kind of comparing it to Bitcoin. And so here we actually see Dash in a little bit better situation. It's not even in the cloud just yet. Yesterday it touched into the cloud, but was able to come back up. So we didn't get a close into the cloud. So this is it's starting its descent again, and we very well may make it back into the cloud and even get a close. But right now it is sort of looking better than Bitcoin. and it's still continuing this kind of stair-stepping pattern. But it's kind of crazy that it hit 240 just what is that, 3 days ago, and now it's almost 140. So Dash shedding $100 in the past few days, kind of crazy. But again, my outlook on this long term is that these are just going to continue higher. Ethereum has also pulled back a lot, high of 420, close at 400, and now we've closed below the cloud, and we're actually closed below the purple line of support here as well. So what that basically means is there's no support in the sort of immediate future. Now, if we do look at the weekly chart, we do get some support, the long-term trend at $70. So I don't expect Ethereum to make it all the way down to there. Sometimes what happens is there's an invisible kind of support in the middle of these. So 215 and 70, maybe like, I don't know, 135 or so. Maybe it could touch that and kind of come back. But we'll just have to see. You know, no one knows where the bottom is. So this is definitely closed below the cloud, and so there's not much support, and I expect this to kind of continue down. Now, the one factor with Ethereum is that a lot of these ICOs will use Ethereum to launch their token. And so the ICO then goes and is collected, you know, sometimes thousands of Ethereum, and it dumps it on the market to get US dollars so it could pay staff or, you know, expand facilities or whatever the coin startups are doing. And so that could have had this drag on Ethereum, which is kind of unique. You know, something like Bitcoin doesn't have to deal with that as much. Although I have heard some ICOs use Bitcoin, but mostly it's Ethereum. So if the ICOs sort of stop and there's a little bit of maybe a gap in the calendar of some popular ICOs, I could see the selling pressure relenting, and then, you know, maybe we shoot back up above the cloud. But for now, it's pretty much in a wait and see and just try to see where the bottom is going to be. Litecoin. So the chart for Litecoin is actually one of the strongest I've seen in the cryptos, and it's had a run from March at $4 to 42 now. So that is pretty amazing. Almost touched the cloud here in the beginning of June kind of time frame. It looks like we pierced into the cloud but didn't get a close. Kind of shot right back up. And then made a move to 50, kind of pulled back to 37, and then a move to 56, and now we're just getting through this purple layer of support at 43. So this is actually a kind of a good buying point for Litecoin, I would say. And I'm thinking that this is going to make another push, and if you kind of project this line out, maybe gets over 60 this time. So Litecoin definitely looking better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. It does have some quick transactions. Man, I've made some payments through Litecoin to my Genesis mining account, as well as just transferred it, to wallets and such, and it is so much faster than Bitcoin. So that is a definite advantage. And if you think of cryptos that might have the most potential for being used by people later on, Litecoin could really be a contender for the most kind of widely used coin, possibly, or maybe Dash or a Zcash or something. But if Bitcoin can solve the scaling problem and its transaction speed really kicks up, then maybe it could as well. And I do expect that we're going to get that soft fork passed in Bitcoin. And then all this sort of price drag is going to be over, and it's going to make another push in August, setting new highs. So that's what I'm expecting to happen. So I just got a few other things here. I did want to look at the gold chart. Gold is below the cloud as well, but it looks like it may have bottomed here around 1200 and is starting back up, encountering some of the first layers of resistance here as it tries to move back to like 1250. So I'm keeping my eye on gold because I do want to stay a little balanced and not be, of course, all in cryptocurrencies or not be all in gold or all in the stock market. You know, it's good to kind of spread things around. So this is another thing that I'm looking for that also is a similar story. You know, cryptocurrencies being sort of an alternative to fiat currencies, and then, you know, we have gold here as another kind of alternative to fiat currencies, and kind of like a more safe haven kind of play. With the stock market being up so much lately, this is kind of more of what I'm eyeing as the kind of value investments right now. So yeah, 1218. Like to see that continue back up, and then eventually maybe get above 1300 and really start to run again. So that's sort of the chart there on gold. And then the last thing I'll just look at is the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ crashed into the cloud here, gained some support, never touched the bottom, and it's been up the past 3 days. So looks like the selling might be over in the NASDAQ, and this is going to start to probably set a new high, I would say. So good to keep an eye on that, and then just look at the S&P real quick here. And we just got a little touch into the cloud today, but shot back up and didn't get a close in the cloud. So that did close above the long-term trend support. So yeah, definitely sort of been stagnating a little here in the S&P, but not as big a sell-off as in the NASDAQ here, but still kind of a cooling off from this big kind of run it's had. So everything really kind of stagnating a little here. So that might mean that things are kind of quiet now and getting ready for a big kind of explosion maybe next month. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later.